Welcome back, my awesome people. In today's episode, I'm speaking with Swindoe, woo woo, who is an entrepreneur, business person, and just an overall inventor. Now, in this video, you're gonna get some gems, whether it's on patents, whether it's on business strategies, how you can go from an idea to an actual product, and we're going to be talking a little bit about politics and seeing how that affects his business and other businesses in Arizona. So here's the interview. Welcome back, my awesome people. I am here with Swin, the owner and founder of Fraqtals Print Pods. Welcome, Swin. So tell me a little bit about yourself, what you do, your business, your invention.
Man, thank you for having me, Jacob. Man, I appreciate being on another rant. You know what I'm saying? Man, print pots is just one of those things that was necessary to me as an individual because I started off print for myself. I have my own brand, and just printing for yourself and doing your own designs, you run into limitations and restrictions when you have a regular like rotary screen print press. So that took me on a long journey of trying to figure out how I could continue to do my brand as well as do other clients' work. And as my business grew, how do I get a piece of machinery that could grow with my business so I'm not in this constant cycle of buying and selling and buying and selling. So, with that whole process, it just took me on a 10-year journey to what we see now as Fractals Print Pods.
And so when you were thinking of this idea, were you already in the clothing business or were you already in the inventing business, or was this your first project and it just became a hit?
I mean, it's crazy because I originally was a rapper, and I was going to a local DJ to get our t-shirts printed, and he did several different batches for us. And one time we came into town and was trying to get a re-up, and he was like, "Man, I'm out of business." Offered to sell his print station. It was like a one station, 4-color machine, and I've been there a few times with him to kind of help him during the process, but I didn't really know it. But I knew the good deal, so I purchased it, right? And I carried it with me for about 2 years. I moved to Houston, hauled it with me out to Houston, and that's when Obama got elected. And then I happened to have somebody that was close to the family that did know the process of how to actually burn screens. And he helped me to burn my first screens, and I did my first Obama shirts. I was on the corner, I was flipping those. And so I didn't really come into the industry thinking that I'm going to be printing t-shirts or definitely not inventing a screen print machine. You know what I mean? So I came in just as an artist, and it was just a way for me to express myself once I realized, okay, damn, I can print my own shirts. But that threw me on that journey is realizing like most people come into this business maybe not thinking they're going to have a shop or they're going to grow into a business. But once you have a skill set and people realize, especially with t-shirts, they're like, "Oh, you know how to print t-shirts? Oh, I want some shirts." Or, "Oh, my church wants some t-shirts." Or, "My partner got a business." So it becomes something without you even knowing it. And me at that time, I was looking for a transition. Coming into the music industry, it's one of those places where you're constantly putting money in and hoping that you're gonna get money out one day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so when I found something that actually gave me a return on my money, I stuck with it. And it didn't take me far away from my passion of music. And so, I stuck with that as a way to, build money for myself, for my brand, for my people around me. And it ended up growing. So that hit me to a wall where I was like, man, I had this machine I purchased and it was cool, but now, I printed a hella shirts on this one little station. And so I realized, damn, all right, I'm gonna have to purchase something that looks just like this, and it could be a little bigger. Now I'm running into restrictions of the space that I have because most screen print machines are pretty big, they bulky. And so I'm like, damn, and then I'm gonna constantly run into limitations of the amount of colors that I could do or the simultaneous projects at one time. And so as I start running into these, I'm like, all right, hold up. How my mind works is like, my mind doesn't tell me just keep going down this road that's just dead end for me. So that started me on a project. And so I built my first line table out of wood. You know, I built it all out of wood and it worked. And the registration was dope on it. And I used it for about 3, 4 years. And people that came into my shop was like, damn, I ain't never seen one of these. Like, oh, you built this? Like, man, that's crazy. And so, you know, as my business grew and as my ideas grew each year, I just put a little bit more into it, had to learn some new skills to get here.
And so you've seen it firsthand where you're like the musician, then you became part of the clothing, and now you're like, you know what, I can actually make this even more efficient and actually start building the tools that create that type of clothing. So what is the difference between your product and your invention compared to the standard one that's out there that people have been using for 20, 30 years? What would be the main difference, you would say?
The main difference is this is the world's first all-in-one combo screen printing with unlimited color and heat press that has the ability to have 4 times more the production with the smallest footprint on the market. So really to break that down is that you can start with one pod, and what we're looking at right now is just 2 pods put together. So it allows you to have a scalable print station. And so, like I said, I started off with one, and if I had a machinery that can scale with my business, it would have been perfect. So I had to create it. So you can add print pods together to create more print stations and increase your production, your productivity. Secondly, it's the only screen printing and heat press combo on the market. So you don't have to have 2 separate different machines in order to create your designs. You can actually just remove, it has interchangeable heating elements that you can remove for flashing, and then you can add one for the heat press. And other than that, man, the scalability, the production capacity, and the smallest footprint, that's what really sets us apart. And it looks dope. You know what I'm saying?
You know what? I love the color scheme. The red and the yellow, it really pops. Like, for example, you walk into a store, that red and yellow pops right at you, and you can tell it's a distinguished brand. And the other reason why I actually like your invention as well is, as you said, scalability. You know, people don't have 20,000 square foot warehouses anymore. They don't have 10,000 square foot warehouses. Some of the best clothing designers or up and coming clothing designers are doing it from their apartment, from their garage. So when they have an invention like yours, not only are they saving space in their own space, but they're doing it a lot faster because, as you said, right, you have multiple things happening all at once without having multiple machines or multiple or changing things every 2 minutes, which is actually pretty cool. And so, did you kind of see this problem in the industry, in the clothing sector, and do it yourself, or did you start collaborating with other inventors, or like, how did this process or your collaborative ideas, how did that come about? Did you have a team already, or you started solo and then you built a team around it?
I started solo, and that's usually how most of us start. You know, I had, like I said, my one print station, and I was doing it for myself, by myself. I had people that were around me, but how the typical and the traditional machine is built is only built for a 1 person operator. There's not really much you can do. If you review some of our other videos, you can see as you add pods to it, it actually encourages more operators, which you can speed up your production. And so, you know, having that option to have somebody put the shirts on, 2 people printing them with different screens because the screens are not attached to the machine, somebody pulling them off, like our production and our efficiency can speed up quite a bit. And so now when I started off, it was just me, you know, spending time in my head and my space trying to figure out, damn, how can I create something that works for me? You know, and I didn't really think about anybody else or selling it at that point. I knew what my hangups were, what the limitations with the screen printing and the other machinery that I ran across were. And so I was really just trying to fix that for me in my process. And then as that grew, you know, I had to learn different skill sets in order to bring it to life. I learned how to weld. I always knew how to build things. My father taught me, you know, power tools, and I came from the generation of having woofers in the trunk, and so I was doing speaker boxes for me and the homie. You know, I was that guy. I was hooking up stereos for you. You know what I mean? I knew how to run amps. So just having that understanding of, you know, small doing a little small electrical work and how to build things, that I think, now looking back empowered me to think that, yeah, I can build this. Like I can, there's no real difference between me and whoever else is building this other machine. And yeah, as that process began, it was just, for the most part, just me working out different iterations to get to this point and just realizing yeah, this is something that takes a lot of concentration. And once you really try to, put it out to somebody, it takes that collaborative effort in that team. And that's pretty much where I'm at now. It's hard to get other people to see your vision. Most
Oh
of
yeah,
the time,
definitely.
you have to build it first. Build it first, build a following around it and let people around it. Now they can see like, oh man, I understand what you've been working on this whole time. Like before you showed it to me, I didn't really get it. But now they can understand it. So yeah, we're at that space now. We're really collaborating and building the team that can push this over the top.
As they say, build it, they will come. And that's exactly what you did. So as you did mention patents, if I did build something, an invention, or I had a great idea that I wanted to pursue, how does the patenting go? Because I did see you answered a question on your Instagram, and my viewers, I will be posting all of Swin's information in the description box below. So definitely check it out. He's got some really cool videos. So on your Instagram, I saw that you answered someone's question about patents, and I believe the person asked you, if I'm starting off, should I get a patent right away? And you gave a really, really precise and excellent answer, which I personally did not even know existed. So, if you would like to maybe talk a little bit more about that.
So that process, like if you have an idea and you really feel like it's unique, first thing you want to do is, search for other possible ideas that are out there that are like yours. Similar enough where it would look like infringement, or similar enough where, if somebody's seen it, they were like, oh, you took this from that or whatnot. So once you go through that process, you realize, okay, I might have something that is unique. And before you go into the full non-provisional patent idea, you know what I'm saying, which is very expensive. It could be very expensive. It
In the
involves a lot
thousands,
of
I'm guessing, thousands of dollars.
thousands of dollars. I mean, and most of it is attorneys. You know what I mean?
Ah,
It's a lot of attorney fees, and it's a lot of them knowing how to draft your application and present your idea in a way where the examiner can understand it and be able to grant you your patent, that you're looking for. But it's some called non-provisional. I'm sorry, it's some called a provisional patent that you can do, and it's cheap. It costs a couple $100. And if you realize, okay, I do have a unique idea and I'm kind of ready to test it, or I want to see how other people receive it, because that's important too. You don't want to spend a lot of time. And I did that. I'm telling you, because these are some of the hiccups that I did. A lot of times building this, not knowing, man, is anybody even going to want it? You know what I mean? Is it going to, and a lot of, like I said in the beginning, is that I really built it for myself initially. That was the initial. But as I got into, maybe this is something that can help others, I spent a lot of time on it. And so before I actually released it to the market, I did a provisional patent. Now, like I said, that costs a couple $100. And, it's some you submit your pictures with, some explanations of your diagrams, the functionality of your invention, the purpose of it, things like that. And that allows you 12 months of protection. So when you put it out into the market, that's where you go. That's where we were at trade shows. We went to the ISS Long Beach. We went to the one in Fort Worth, and that's where we really got our proof of concept. That felt good as an inventor, knowing that I've been in my own little dungeon for the last years creating something, and now I realize, damn, people do love it. Like, it is something that people would want to purchase. And so once I got that feedback, then I proceeded with my non-provisional. And so you have 12 months from your provisional patent to execute your non-provisional to keep your protection active, right? What other patent attorneys were like, man, and they're expensive. They were super expensive, and I knew I couldn't afford it. I was doing I was building, and what I'm building out of metal is not cheap. So I went through thousands of dollars, thousands of dollars.
Having your product and your invention will allow them to have those opportunities where, the traditional ones, you probably had to spend maybe 10, 15, $20,000 on a machine, to create.
And you don't have the space for it. Like I said,
Exactly.
we're in a living room setting right now, and I have several different pods here. We got a conveyor dryer, but my actual printing, the print pots are small enough where we can do production here and not be crammed in a space. And it seems like all of the other rotary screen print machines are built for a round room, but I ain't never really been in a round room. So there's a lot of that big round thing inside of a square room. You're having, your workspace is limited. So we built ours in a way where either you could press it against the wall and really line your wall with print pods and still have your main space in the middle for, whatever you need to do without being crammed. And yeah, I made it for the brand, man. Like, people are doing amazing things out of their bedroom, out of their garage. And I want to empower them a way to go to a market and print live on the spot and still be able to have all of their designs because it's an unlimited color. And, everybody's not a screen printer. So this allows you to still be able to use your DTF and screen print at the same time. Like, it's a really dope. And like I said, this is the inflection of people that want to express themselves through clothes. And, that's why I made it for us to do that.
So is this business something that you can see yourself maybe selling to a much bigger company, like a bigger clothing company, and sell the patent and sell the product, and then you kind of take a more of a background scene? Or is this kind of your baby, you want to take charge of this forever?
At this moment, it's kind of my baby. And, I during this process, I wanted to create generational wealth. Something that I could pass down to my kids. As my kids are older now, they're starting to participate in the business. They want to do clothing brands. I wanted to create an environment for them to take on what I started and take it to the next level. What that looks like in a couple of years, I'm not sure, but I know where we're at right now. I'm focused on building this brand, building the culture around the brand. And once we get that, who knows where we can go. I'm sure we're open for licensing for different of the technology that we got, but selling it off is not really what we're looking at right now.
So if you were to say, for example, think about the next few months that's coming up, especially with politics and the elections, depending on who wins, who's better for business in Arizona, you would say? For example, like, I know some places, like, for example, California, New York, a lot of people who own businesses are leaving because of the policies there, because they're increasing taxation, they're adding more red tape to entrepreneurs. How's Arizona's business world? Are you able to just go there and start a business? Is there anyone bothering you too much, or is it pretty free, you would say?
It's pretty free. It's not too many hurdles in the way of starting your business. Running businesses is another thing. It's always difficult to get financing, loans for people of color, small businesses. That's always tough. Tucson and Arizona, particularly, we've always had a bad rap, whether it be with Martin Luther King, debacle that we had, it's always been tougher on people of color here in Arizona. The election, I'm not really sweating that. I just know we need somebody younger. We need younger candidates, period. People that's more connected with the culture, people more connected with society, how things are moving nowadays. I think both of the candidates been rich for too long. You know what I mean? To have any type of real connection. They, even though they've seen several different eras, but at the same time, they've been at a certain level for so long that they're just too disconnected. And I really believe it's time for some newer energy to come in, because where we're going, we're moving fast as a society. And I think we need somebody that can grab that wheel and that can take us into, a new chapter. And man, really starting with education, bro. Yeah. When I first started, I started my business back in 2010, and there wasn't a lot of resources. I was always in the community, rather been through music or different social groups. We had different self-help manifestation groups that we did in the community, barbecues in the park, feeding the community type of things. And so I think that's always helped me really establish myself in my business within the community. Just within the last couple of years, I was able to get funding, some BIPOC funding, and that helped, to get me, bridge to my little next step, to buy some metal, to do some advertising. But it's difficult, coming from a state where we're only about 4 to 5% Black in Arizona. There's not a lot of funding for us. We're not paid attention a lot to. So, for businesses, we really gotta just do what we can do on our own. But
Yeah, I think you're absolutely correct because when it comes to Black businesses, what I've realized is that we all have to kind of lean on each other because there's not much that we are given to succeed or excel. As you said, right? Community gatherings, barbecues, music events, wherever the Black people hang out and congregate, that's who we have to lean on, especially when it comes to resources.
no, yeah, we're always left to kind of fend for ourselves and make our own things happen, man. And that's really why it's really important for me to push through this process to gain this patent. That's important for me. For too many times in history where we've invented things and came up with the ideas, and because of whatever laws were in place back in the day where they were saying that we're only 3/5 of a man, and we weren't able to own these certain things, we were kind of, pushed and just jacked for our ideas. And so I was really been my big push is that like in my family, I want to have this patent. I want to have this ownership of creating this idea, creating something that's innovative. And, that's being my bigger push. And, moving through life, man, as a Black man, you can't have race or your color or your restrictions out in front of you. It's hard to move when you have those in front of you. So I always push those to the back and just, I have to move and shake through society how I can. And that's always worked out for me, you know what I mean? And if people's racism or their unhappiness or whatever it may be, their hate that they don't feel like I should be where I'm at, that's really got to be in my face in order for me to address it, because that's not even what I'm looking at, man. We moving too fast, we pushing too hard to even pay attention to it. Till I really start to travel the world and realize, damn, everywhere you go, man, the darker your skin is, the more you're oppressed. And if you just stay in your little city or your hood, you just think it's here. Now this is a global thing. And so that gives you a perspective to realize, like, all right, like this is what I really need to do. I need to buckle down, get my family tight, and create this generational wealth, teach this financial literacy. Let's get educated. And I'm not talking about just strictly school educated. That's a whole nother thing, man. I want to talk about, we're at a place now where in our hands, we have pretty much all the answers that we may have, and just learning how to use this technology, in our way that benefits us. There's no reason why you shouldn't be educated. And I'm not talking about having a degree at the university. If you want to spend your money in that way, that's fine. But there's ways that you can be educated and knowledgeable about everything from the food you eat to the laws that, to your candidates, to, man, everything you need to know, because school is not teaching our youth. And that's one of our bad things that's going on here in the US, is that we're pretty much one of the lowest in the world of education. And we've used this tool as our cell phones in a way that's really a distractive tool instead of it's empowering us and educating us in a way. I went to YouTube University. That's how I learned how to weld. You know what I mean? That's how I learned how to present and get my application for my patent together to make me, I bypassed the lawyers because all this information is out there. All I got to do is do the research, ask the right questions, and get the right answers, and keep pushing through. So, that's, man. If I'm telling, if you learn anything from this interview or me as an inventor, is that you got to make it happen, push through every adversity that you come across, and because the answers are there, reach out to the people around you, get mentors, and man, keep pushing. Like, there is no, only restrictions is the ones that you have in your mind and your imagination.
If you were president of the United States this upcoming term, what would be the first few things that you would change right away?
Well, first of all, I have no ambition to be in politics. That's real at this moment. But I do see that there's a gap in our education. Man, we need to teach entrepreneurship in school. We need to teach people, the youth, how to accomplish goals, financial literacy, how to tap into this great device that we have in our palm and not use it as a distraction. I think we really need to tap into, as being here in the U.S., we are lacking the education. We need to put more money into art. Let's bring art back. As I do a lot of mentorship in the juveniles, I realize a lot of those kids are artists. We would show up and do music with them, do some poetry with them. A lot of them are poets. They're visual artists. And that's usually the people that don't fit in society. Everywhere you go, they're telling you, if you say you want to be an artist, they're like, man, don't be no artist. Like, you don't make no money. You know what I mean? They're always trying to curb creative people out of that realm to do something else. But really, that's their passion. And when you take a person out of doing what they're passionate about, man, you lead them into a life of like depression. I worked a 9 to 5, man. I ain't gonna lie. I sat in my cubicle a few times out of the week and I cried because this ain't what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, I was doing musical tours. I was in front of people. I was speaking to them, and to sit me in this little square box and ask me to answer the phone and make a sale or whatever that is, that killed my spirit. And I think we're having too much of that. We're encouraging the death of the youthful spirit too much in society. And I think if I had the position, I'd throw money into that. Pay the teachers, because these are the people that are teaching our future leaders. Encourage the artists, because, man, without most of the inventions that we use today are from those people, that, including the phone I'm using, Steve Jobs. Like, to have a brain to think, nah, man, people need to use something like this, and they're gonna, it's gonna interact in their life in this way, and it'll enhance their life in this way. I mean, to have creative people think in that way to remove that is horrible. So I think we need to put that back. I would definitely put the funds back into the school, back into the artistry, the creativity, the music, everything. And I believe in the next generation or two, we'll see a big change. Depression would go down. That anxiety would go down. Incarceration would go down. Create more vocational schools, teaching more of the trades in school.
If you look at education now, it's kind of like a factory. It's like you go in and you come out. Do you have a skill? Maybe yes, maybe no. Do you have any knowledge? Maybe yes, maybe no. Are you just being pushed through? So we're not really getting an education. We're getting a space so people can go, so parents can work. That's what I think. I think it's just a place for kids to be kept, taught certain things that may or may not align with the family. But hey, the parents got a 9 to 5 babysitter while they go to work. So I 100% agree with you, because the way our society is going, we definitely need a much higher quality education.
And we have to more cultivate more of the individual. And everybody's not going to be the same. That's what they're trying to teach. If you can't fit within this box of being able to go in this place for this amount of time and sit here and listen to this, then you won't have a space in our society. And really, you're just asking for these sheep. You're trying to get the sheep to you want to program everybody to be the same. And we're just not built like that.
Just creating workers. That's all it is.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And we have to really encourage more of the individuality the free thinking. There's no free thinking. I don't remember there should be a space during that day. And when you're in school, this is free thinking, free expression. But
Yeah.
like it needs to have that creativity. Because I know as I was one of those kids in school, man, like the only time I felt free is recess. I'll be daydreaming. It's not that I couldn't pay attention. It's just that when the teacher said something to me, it sparked my brain, my imagination so much, it would go off of what they said. And I would be thinking about what they said in a different perspective. And then, like, hey, so what did I just say? And I would be lost. It's not that I'm not paying attention. It's just my mind it would go off. It would daydream on what you said and what was being taught. It was trying to throw it through my filters and realize how it fits within my life. So we need a space. That was the only time where I would excel is at recess, where I feel like this is my free time. Like I can kill you. I can kill y'all on the playground. Y'all might be able to kill me in class, but I'm killing you on the playground. And only because that's how the structure was set up. It wasn't set up for the creative, the imaginative thinker to be.
Yeah. Do you think for schools, like for example, the education system, do you think it's a much better system if instead of having every kid just go grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, and everyone just kind of follows the same path? Or do you think that it's much better if at an early age you identify what the child is good at? So say for example, this child is a great artist by 10 years old, and you just kind of say, you know what, you're going to go down the artist route. So for the next 10 years, whether it's grade 8, 9, 10, they're not doing biology, they're not doing physics. They might do the general, but not where they're doing like grade 11 trigonometry if they're going to be an artist. So do you think that the education system, instead of just having everybody go through the same programming, that we should have schools based on the child, or the child should go to school based on their skill? What do you think about that?
If we want society to actually grow and be a healthy society, that's how it was back in the day. Like if your family was a blacksmith, your kids grew up, you learned that artistry, or they identified, oh, he's good at this, or he's good at agriculture, he's good at this art, and they would cultivate that. So definitely that should be, and that's really the parents' job.
Yeah.
But like we said before, the parents are, we're busy working, we're busy trying to provide, some of those things slip. And then there's not spaces set up, educational spaces set up that really can cultivate the artist or the free thinker, the entrepreneur. These things are not set, they're not in place. And I think that's where, if I had the money, that's where the funds would go to creating these spaces, because in the long run, our society would be way better. As Americans, we don't produce anything. We produce weapons. We produce weapons, you know what I mean? And that's just a reflection of what our society is now, why there's so many, mass shootings. We produce that. And that's pretty much, and we're producing music, entertainment. We've always led the world in that form. Sports, but
nothing of a high caliber status, nothing of, we're not producing, the top engineers as we used to. Right. We're not producing the top doctors as we used to. Pretty much once this generation or the old generation kind of, retires, then we're kind of left with a lot of gaps in many industries. No, I totally see that. Like here in Canada right now, we have a doctor shortage, and we have a nurse shortage. We have a teacher shortage. It's because the older generation is retiring. The newer generation, they want to be YouTubers and TikTokers. So it's like this disconnect of, okay, who's going to run society, or who's going to govern society in the future? And I always tell people, I'm like, hey, get your doctors and lawyers now, because in the future, you may not have the best ones.
All right. And we put such a barrier on our education, where it's so expensive. If you wanted to go and get out of education, like it's ridiculous. You want to become a doctor, you want to be someone in society that can help the society, you're going to come out of $250,000, $500,000 in debt if you want to, help the society. Wild. Yeah, and they put so much barriers up for us to actually help ourselves and help our own country, that we're having to outsource these things, these engineers, these doctors from other places, because I'm not understanding. That's why I say there's a really huge disconnect from the presidential candidates and just the people that's been in office to where our what's going on the ground level.
Oh, for sure. That was awesome, awesome information of gems that you just dropped because YouTube University is a real thing. Like for example, me even just starting a YouTube channel, just even about branding, about how to use a camera, how to edit. I legit just used the COVID lockdowns to just learn about all this stuff. And I think that a lot of people have done that as well, but I think that we as the people who are, I guess, as they call marginalized, we need to start taking this to to our full advantage because there are some intelligent people out there, but they're always thinking of where can I get resources when really the resource is right in the palm of your hands. You got YouTube, you got Wikipedia if you want to go down that route. You got so many free resources, and I think we need to maybe look at how to empower these tools, not just for taking Snapchats and taking, videos. We should actually start teaching it because I know the major problem we have here in Canada is unemployment for youth, especially in the Black community, the unemployment rate. And I think if more youth of our community started looking at YouTube as a tool, we'd definitely be in a much better place when it comes to what the future holds. And on that note, like, what type of advice would you give to an aspiring entrepreneur, whether it's a black entrepreneur or a non-black entrepreneur? What type of advice would you give them? Something that, because you've already given amazing information. So, is there any other gems that you want to drop in there?
Man, really find your passion. Man, find your passion. I'm not telling you to do something that I ain't did. Man, I worked 9 to 5, had a family, had kids, and I realized I'm gonna work hard. Regardless of your life, you're gonna work hard. Unless you're just a lazy person, you ain't have no aspirations at all. Even that's gonna be hard because you're gonna have a hard life.
Oh yeah, you gotta choose your hard.
Nothing. Right. So just come to the grips, especially if you have ambition, you have hustle in you. Find out what you want to do and go at it. Work hard with it. Hone that craft. Learn as much as about that as you can. And if you're anything like me, once you learn about something as much as you can, then you realize, oh, what it's lacking. Oh, then you realize where you can fit in. Oh, there's a gap in between this and this. That's where I can fit in and I can bridge that gap with maybe an invention or an idea or a new process. You know what I mean? So once you learn what you want, man, get passion and then go at it. And please don't think that you have to have all your ducks in a row. Man, once I do this and then I have this and then I have this and then I have this, then I'm gonna start my business. Bro, no, you're not gonna have all those things. Like, you may. I didn't have all those things. I just needed one. I had one. Like, give me one. Give me one. That first step. Give me the first step, and I'm gonna hit it hard, and then I'm gonna realize I can pivot from there. And then that next step will come. And then that next step will come. It's not linear. And I just want you to realize you're gonna be doing this when you get to your goal.
A lot of ups and downs and sideways. Yep.
Yeah, all those jab steps you're gonna learn. And so once you get done with it, you're going to know everything from the janitor's role up to the CEO's role. And so start bringing people into your business, you can tell them how to do everything from top to bottom. Vertical integration is what we really have to be about as you want to be an entrepreneur. You need to know this whole process. And that's why I feel like I've really been blessed that I didn't have the help. I didn't have the money to go to a manufacturer. So it made me learn how to manufacture. It made me know everything on this machine. I know why it's there. Not just, I know the dimensions of it. I know why I put that there. I know how everything works together. And once you understand that about whatever it is you're passionate about, you're valuable. So create value wherever you go and you'll never be broke. Woo woo.
I love that. I love that. Especially what you said was just give me the first step and I'll knock it out. Just the first step. I don't need you don't have to give me 10 steps. Give me the first step and I'll go from there. And I think that's what everybody should start doing, right? Just get your foot in that door by any means necessary. And from there, take it as a learning experience. So Swin, that was amazing. We're going to wrap it up here, my friend. It has been an honor talking to you today, and you have dropped so much gems and jewels for my viewers and even for myself. Honestly, I have learned a lot, not only about your industry, but also just about business from a different perspective. So we will definitely have more of these conversations and discussions in the future. We're definitely going to have more videos on the way. Where can my viewers find you? And shout out, any upcoming shows or projects that you might have. But what are your details?
Man, I appreciate it, man, for being on another rant with Jacob. Man, this was dope. Um, man, look at you can check us out at Instagram at Fraqtals, YouTube, Fraqtals Print Pods. Not really on Facebook like that, but Fraqtals everywhere pretty much, man. And you'll see us out there. We trying to inspire the entrepreneurs, man. I'm telling you, I am you. I know where you came from. Shit, I was printing shirts and curing them in my oven at the beginning when I first started. So don't think that you got to have everything to get going and start, you know what I'm saying, getting after your dream. Just get after it. And man, look at me. Woo woo, I'm everywhere.
Woo, woo, I love it. Perfect. All right, Swin, on that note, my awesome people, I hope you got some awesome, valuable knowledge from this video and this interview, which I know you did. And so please stay tuned, subscribe and like, and stay ranting.
Woo.